The economics of global climate change does not behave according to free market forces for several reasons. A. Divergent national interests distort global markets for goods or services. B. Monopolies or cartels control the supply of some goods or services. C. Other relevant goods or services are free and invite indiscriminate use. D. Crucial information about many goods or services is sparse, uncertain, or not publicly available. E. Processes span several generations of human beings. The major points of this segment are: indiscriminate use of Earth's atmosphere is a tragedy of the commons. Number 2. Information about greenhouse gas emissions is not readily available. 3. Long delays between cause and effect increase the difficulty of developing efficient economic policies about climate change. The next reason the economics of climate change does not behave according to free market principles is that relevant goods or services are free and invite indiscriminate use. The 18th century economist Adam Smith forwarded the idea that the invisible hand of a free market promotes the overall good of society because individuals who pursue their own self-interest and maximize their revenues also maximize the total revenues of their community. Unfortunately, free markets break down in situations with large externalities. An externality occurs when a buyer and seller in an economic transaction do not necessarily bear all the costs or reap all the benefits of the transaction. Pollution and technology innovation are classic examples of processes with large externalities. A polluter reaps benefits directly from polluting while imposes the pollution costs on others. The polluter therefore lacks incentive to reduce those costs. The problem reverses for a firm that adopts new technology. The firm typically creates benefits for others while incurring most of the costs, and therefore loses incentive to invest in the technology. Pollution creates negative externality, and so the invisible hand allows too much of it, whereas technology innovation creates positive externalities, and so the invisible hand produces too little of it. Specific to global climate change, Earth's atmosphere has two properties that interfere with market forces. It is non-rival. One person in the atmosphere does not keep others from using it. Who owns the sky? It is non-excludable. People cannot be kept from using the atmosphere. How much should a breath of air cost? If nobody owns a natural resource, nobody will take care of it. If it is free for the taking, people will tend to overuse it. This is the tragedy of the commons. Garrett J. Harding, an ecologist concerned with human overpopulation, described the typical scenario for the tragedy of the commons. Imagine a pastoral setting in which shepherds are grazing their flocks on a common green. This commons can sustain a certain number of sheep in perpetuity. If one shepherd sneaks in another sheep above what is sustainable, she benefits significantly, while the damage of the extra sheep is distributed among all the shepherds and may be imperceptible, at least initially. Once the other shepherds discover that one of their own is profiting at their expense, they will add sheep to remain competitive. With all the additional sheep, the commons suffers severe overgrazing and everybody dies.